Welcome back everyone, I'm back today with another baking video, and today we're going to make some banana bread. So everyone in my house loves banana bread, so this is very popular in our house, and I'm going to pop the recipe that I'm going to be following today right here. So screenshot it if you want to make it yourself, and yeah, watch along if you're interested in seeing how this banana bread turns out. So firstly I'm going to measure out a half a cup of butter, softened at room temperature, and I'm going to put it into my mixing bowl. Before I started, I did switch on the oven to preheat it to 180 degrees, so by the time we are finished mixing all of our ingredients together, we will have a lovely warm oven. So next I'm going to get my caster sugar and we will measure it out. We need 2/3 of a cup, and then I'm going to throw that in on top of the softened butter at room temperature, and then we're going to just mix that up with our hand mixer until we get it to like a creamy consistency. I'm just going to move this bowl and camera in a little bit now so you can actually see what's in the bowl. So now we're ready to get our mixer and mix this all up. Now I have my hand mixer and I'm going to mix until I'm happy with how it comes out, and I just want to make sure that all the butter and the sugar is mixed together. Next I'm going to add my Glenmoran eggs, of course, and I need 2 eggs, so I'm going to crack them and I'm going to add them into this mixture. Add them into your sugar and your butter. The concentration is real here, guys. You know, it's the thought of getting an eggshell into the mixture. Oh my god, no thank you. And we're going mixing again. Mix. So now I'm just going to prepare my bananas. I am going to use 4 bananas in this recipe. It's totally up to yourself how many bananas you want to use. You can use 3 or 4, but I'm just going to use 4. So I'm taking the peels off and I'm going to mash them all up. Mashing up these bananas brings me right back to my childhood when I used to go and visit my granddad in his house. He'd be there waiting for me to come and visit, and he'd have the bananas mashed and he'd have sugar added, the whole lot, and I just thought it was the most delicious treat you could ever have. It'll be one of those fond memories I keep with me forever, but it was so delicious. I'll never ever forget it. So if you haven't tried mashed bananas and sugar, go and try it now. This is the consistency you are looking for now. So if you have something like this, then you know you're ready to add that into your mixture. So now we're just going to add these mashed bananas into our mixture. And of course, we're going to get our hand mixer and we're going to go mixing. So this is the consistency you should have at the moment. This is what it should be like after you have added your bananas. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of vanilla extract. We need half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And we're going to add that into our mixture. And then we're going to mix again. So now it's time for flour, and we need 1.5 cups of self-raising flour. This recipe is really simple, especially if you don't have a kitchen scales nearby. All you really need is a cup and a teaspoon and you're sorted. So it's very, very handy if you don't have a kitchen scales. All you need is a few little items like that you would have in your kitchen anyway. And yes, I do have the kitchen covered in flour. It has gone everywhere. But you're not doing a good enough job, I think anyway, if you don't cover the kitchen in flour while you're baking. Who's with me on this? So we have 1.5 cups of self-raising flour added into our mixture, and now we're going to put some baking powder in. We're going to put 1 teaspoon of baking powder in. Bear with me now a moment while I go and get the little salt man. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt added into this mixture, and then we're going to mix. Now, it's time for my secret ingredient. And what is that? It is golden syrup. So I'm going to just put in as much as you feel like you want to put in. I'm afraid when it comes to the golden syrup, guys, there is no measurement here. And of course, we're going to mix again. This cake is very handy if you have visitors coming that you just want to throw something together and have a delicious, cake with a cup of tea or even a dessert after your meal. It's so nice. It can be stored at room temperature for about 2 days, and it can also be refrigerated, and it will last 3 to 5 days if refrigerated. But if you refrigerate it, I would say it does dry out your cake a little bit. You can also freeze this cake. It will last about 3 months frozen, and if you want to take it out and thaw it out of the freezer, it takes about 3 hours to thaw this out. So now that all our mixing is almost complete, we are going to go and get our chocolate chips. I'm going to pour 3/4 of the packet of chocolate chips into this mixture. I'm not going to mix the chocolate chips into the mixture, if that makes sense. Instead, I'm going to fold the chocolate chips into this mixture. The reason I'm doing this is because I want the chocolate chips to not sink, basically. I don't want them sink into the bottom of the cake. and believe me, it works. I have mixed the chocolate chips in before and they all just sank right to the bottom. But I've done this method a few times of folding the chocolate chips in, and it believe me, it does work, and it's much nicer. So here I just have your average silicone loaf case, and I'm going to pour in the mixture. So the reason I didn't use all of my chocolate chips was because I wanted to keep some to sprinkle on the top of my cake, just to make it nice and fancy. So we're almost there, guys. We're almost finished with this lovely cake, but we're not just quite there yet. We need to add a little bit of golden syrup on the top. I really think the golden syrup just ties all of those ingredients in together, and it keeps that cake just lovely and moist. Now it's time to put your cake in the oven. We have our oven preheated to 180 degrees before we started, and we're just going to pop the cake onto the rack, and we're going to leave the cake in for about 55 to 65 minutes. You can check your cake with a toothpick, and if the toothpick comes out clear, you know your cake is done. So this is the final result, guys. This is what your banana bread should look like. It absolutely was delicious and we love it in our house. I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Please follow us on all our social medias at Yellow River Lane, and thanks for watching.